Nyaho! Con Moriarty, everybody. Oh, man. I have had the longest day. It's not that anything particularly bad has happened today. So it's not a long day as in, it's been such a rough day. Awful things are happening and now I'm exhausted of life. No, it's just kind of a day in which absolutely nothing eventful has happened at all. So it feels like it's been a long time. It feels like it's taken a long time to get from waking up all the way to here, where I can hang out with you, lovely folk. So I am quite exhausted despite only having just started the stream. I also am now realizing I have not had a drink of water for several hours. I love just having an absolutely massive jug of water next to me. Like, I feel like when I have a glass of water, I start drinking it, and then I realize, oh, wait, that's not enough water, and then the water's gone. But I just have a massive couple liters of water next to me, and that is fantastic. Anyway, today, oh my gosh, guess what's happening? We are going to be making our second attempt. Hold on one sec, I have to adjust my mic. I need to mute it so I don't blow up people's ears. We are making our second attempt at trying to make a card game. Yeah, so last time I tried this, what ended up happening was my internet cut out 40 minutes into the broadcast and then nothing happened. Whoops. So yeah, I recall I wrote a few things down. I'm trying to decide how much I want to re-explain my thoughts here. So, okay, I'll try to do a brief summary of each thing, not a brief something, a brief summary of each thing that I want to write down on this page here. Just a very, very quick, very fast explanation. So, what I want to do is write down a couple very base pillars that, let me center this on the screen, that I want to keep in mind when designing the game. Pillar number 1. It is simple. That is pillar number 1. That is the first base on which we are constructing this game. It is going to be a game that is easy to play, easy to pick up, and easy to understand. It is going to be a game that anyone can try to play, because what I want to do is sort of make a game that I could play as a collab thing and could be played as a party game. So, pillar number 1, keep it very simple. Pillar number 2. What did I have as my second pillar last time? I don't think it matters. But I want it to not, how do I write this? I want it not to feel slow and clunky. Let's say, keep it fluid. I want a very fluid gameplay, which sort of goes hand in hand with simple. It needs to be a game in which moving from turn to turn is very fast, quick. Turns are exciting. Things are happening. You don't have to get caught up on trying to reread any rules, which goes hand in hand with simple. I want it to be simple. I want it to be fluid. And number 3, I want it to be, you know what I'm going to write? I'm going to write tasty. Oh, tasty. I love just picking weird adjectives for things. Just weird adjectives that you would normally use. What I mean here when I say tasty is that I want it to feel flavorful. I want the cards. So this game is going to be based on VTubers. Whoa. So when I say tasty, it means I want it to be flavorful. When it comes to games, flavor typically refers to how the mechanics play into the story or theme and vice versa. How they play into each other, or how well the mechanics represent the theme of the thing that the mechanic is representing. So for instance, and I think these are going to be my 3 pillars, so I'm going to put them in a box over here. For instance, let's say, let's just pretend we're making a Magic the Gathering card. You don't really need to know much about Magic the Gathering for this to make sense. So we have a card. Whoa. Nope. There. That's okay. So we have a card. A Magic card has... where is this? I believe... We have a picture. That's okay. We have a cost up here, which will just say let's just say it's one thing. Magic the Gathering has mana. In order to play it, you have to do a thing that generates mana. It doesn't matter what that is. So this is a thing with a mana cost of 1. Typically a small mana cost means it is a weaker thing, because mana is basically just a form of restriction. It's a restriction to make it so that you don't play out all your powerful cards like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Has very, very little built-in costs, so things get out of control very quickly. So this is a thing that costs 1, meaning flavor-wise, it should be a small or weak thing. We have a name here. What do we want to call this? Okay, let's pretend that this is just like a spell that a wizard is casting. Spells mean something very specific in Magic, but let's pretend this is like a wizard. Casting like a lightning bolt. So this is a 1-cost spell, and we'll call it like Zap. And then the rules text would go here, and it would say something like deal 1 damage. And what this is, I mean, this isn't a real Magic card. But in terms of flavor, the ability that it has to deal 1 damage and the name Zap. So like when you think of the name Zap, you think it's like, ooh, it's like a quick shock. Ooh, a small little shock. Ooh. Like when you know when you walk across a really thick carpet and then you touch a piece of metal, you get zapped and you go, ooh, that was a zap. So imagine, so that's what I let me take a second to think of how I want to word this. The flavor of it being a small zap, like a very quick, short spark of electricity, informs the mechanics. That being, it is a small and weak spell and it does something it does so it has a small effect, that being deal 1 damage. You know, it's just a zap is a weak shock of electricity that maybe hurts a little bit. It hurts a little bit. So that kind of thing is what I mean when I say flavorful. I want the theme to inform the mechanics and vice versa. I want cards to feel as much like the thing they're trying to represent as possible. In this case, it's going to be VTubers. So, what is great about VTubers? VTubers, oh wait, actually before that, what I wanted to do was get some of the mechanics down. So, I'm trying to remember what I was explaining last time. So I want this. The type of game that I want it to be is... It is a party game. It's going to be playable by groups of people. It's going to have very fast rounds. It's going to be a Trump game. Meaning, so Trump game is basically a genre of card game in which the goal is for you to play a card that matches or beats the value of the previous person's card. The two go-to examples that I like to use for this, I don't know if I would say Uno. Uno is a Trump game by definition, but it matches the gameplay style. But I think a really, really good example that I think a lot of people might know is the game Big Two. Big Two is a game where you split the deck into however many pieces. This is with the regular playing card deck. You split the deck into however many pieces, and each person takes a turn playing one or more cards. And in order to beat the previous person, you have to play... Oh, broke my mouse pad, I think. Sorry, what was I saying? So the deck is split into however many pieces. Let's say there are 4 players, so the deck is split into 4 pieces, and you go in a circle playing cards. Now, what you want to do is, let's say the first person plays a 2. In order to beat that, you have to play a card with greater value than a 2. And then the suits are also sorted in order of value. I think it's like diamonds, hearts, clubs, spades or something, with diamonds being the lowest, spades being the highest. Ooh, excuse me, sorry. So if that person plays a 2, you either want to play a 2... Oh wait, actually, 2 is a bad example because in Big 2, 2 is the highest number. The first person plays a 3. What you want to do is either play a 3 with a suit of greater value, or just a card with a higher number. So let's say they play a 3, so you decide you want to play a 4. Then the next person goes and they play a 7. In order to beat that, they have to play an 8 or higher. So that's what I mean when I say Trump game. It's sort of that mechanic where you're going around in a circle and try to beat the previous person. Uno is very similar in that but instead of having to beat it, you have to match it. So if they play a 2, you have to play either a 2 or another card of the same color as the card they played. So I want that to be the very base, that sort of thing to be the base mechanic of this game. So it's a party game, it's a Trump game. I think I'll write up here first and foremost, it is a card game. Yeah, it's a party card game. It's not going to be a TCG like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering or Pokemon. It's not going to be like a roguelite deck builder like Slay the Spire or Inscription. It's just going to be a game for multiple people that can be played in short, quick, easy to figure out rounds. This is the game that I have decided to make. Because I think that sort of matches the overall feel of VTubers. VTubers are people that, the typical trend amongst VTubers is to play mostly a variety of games. Obviously, they're going to be streamers that prefer to play particular games, particular styles of games, or very specific games in general. I know that there are a couple people that are like, oh, I only play Apex, or I only play League of Legends, or whatever. But I think the typical trend amongst VTubers is that they play a wide variety of games, and so some of those games might end up being casual games because it's easy to pick up and figure out without having to know anything beforehand. Additionally, I'm just gonna write down a few keywords that I think will help inform the design of the game through theme. So we have VTubers, we have variety. We'll say casual, even though that's not what I mean. Even though I don't mean it in the usual way, you might say like a casual gamer or something. There's a casual feel to the way people stream. It feels like you're just kind of hanging out with a person, you know? And they don't typically go super, super hardcore in a game. I mean, they might go pretty professionally. Well, I can't think of any VTubers that actually play professionally, quote unquote, like esports level. People do go pretty hard, but they never go too deep. VTubers like to collab a lot. That is a very typical trend that I see. I mean, YouTubers in general like collabs, but I think the culture of VTubing has led to collabs being a lot more typical. VTubers, variety, casual, collab. What else do we say? Lighthearted. Yeah, that makes sense for a couple keywords that I think will help inform the game mechanics. So I recall last time I was also writing down a few mechanics that I thought would be interesting and would probably be core to this sort of game. So it's a trump game, which means we need things that inform you whether a card will beat another card. And that could be, so things like in Big 2, you have the playing card suits, Heart, Diamond, Club, Spade, which are, in that game, they're usually what was I gonna say? I've totally blanked on the words. They're ranked in order from weakest to strongest, and I think that's usually like I think I said Diamond was at the bottom last time, but I think it's Heart. Oh god, how do I do this? Okay, it's good enough, I guess. Diamond is greater than hearts, club is greater than diamonds, spade is greater than clubs, and then it does not wrap around. So that is how Big 2 usually does it. Additionally, they have numbers. They have simple numbers. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. 2 is greater than 1, 3 is greater than 2, 4 is greater than 3, and 5 is greater than 4. In Uno, we have colors. But these... what colors do we have in Uno again? It's blue, red, yellow, green. But these... Where did my mouse disappear to? There we go. Are a separate mechanic. These are not a trump mechanic. They are a matching mechanic. So blue has to... Wait, do I have anything? That's not it. That's it. Match with blue. Red... Whoop. Has to match with red. Yellow has to match with yellow. And then green has to match with green. Same with, whoops, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4. Oh god. So we have... There you go. Oh god. Trump versus matching. These are a few ways. These are a few things that I think would be helpful to keep in mind when designing this game. So what I was thinking, I'm finally at the part that I got to before my internet cut out and the stream died, and it's taken us 15 minutes less than it did before. Fantastic. Hopefully we stay alive. I'm just gonna take a quick sip of water. Oh no. Oh no, that's my Pro Controller. Ooh. Oh. Ah, yeah, babe. Okay, so we have Trump mechanics, in which we have 4 suits and 10, 13 numbers that grow sequentially. And in another game, we have 4 colors and 9 numbers. Wait, is 0 is a number, right? In Uno, it goes 0 to 8, I believe. No, there's no 0, is there? It's just 1 to 8. I think it's just 8 numbers. But yeah, 4 colors, 8 numbers. I think that is a very good amount of mechanics for the very base gameplay loop. So what I was thinking is there would be 2 suits, quote unquote suits, because when I say suits, it could also refer to the numbers. What I mean is just 2 mechanics to play with in terms of trumping or matching. I was thinking that we could have a mix of both. There would be 1 primary trump mechanic, and this would either be numerical, meaning like 1 to 10. You know, 2 beats 1, 3 beats 2, 4 beats 3, etc., etc., etc. Or a sort of an elemental mechanic. Oh god, I'm just gonna use my mouse for this. And it would be something like just think of the, very basic Pokemon. Fire beats grass, water beats fire, grass beats water. Just sort of a circle. It's more of a circle than numbers. So numerical only goes up from the lowest number to the highest number, and it usually doesn't wrap around. I think at most in a sort of trump game, in sort of a trump system like that, sometimes people make it so that only the lowest number can beat the highest number, which I think could be good. I think it depends on how casual competitive the game is, how many other factors there are to it, and what the flow of the game is like. Because if it's a game in which 1 is the lowest number and 10 is the highest number, and nothing can beat 10, that means on that vector of gameplay, meaning, so if there are 2 vectors, such as what I'm thinking is I want to do a trump mechanic and a matching mechanic, and these are my 2 vectors. If I go for this route and 10 is straight up the highest number, that is unbeatable. That vector disappears until the game state can change. It disappears until the game state can change. So when someone plays a card with a value of 10, that means no one can play a card with a higher value. They must follow the matching vector in order to change the game state. And they might like play a blue 10, or sorry, no, it would be, since they're not trying to do the number, it would be like a blue 1, and then the trump mechanic returns, because now the number has changed. So I think if it was numerical, I think what I might do is make the lowest number able to beat the highest number. Alternatively, there's the elemental route, which I said is, if you just think about it the way you think about Pokemon, where you have the 3 starters, they are grass, water, fire. It's a rock, paper, scissors system in which one beats another thing, beats another thing, beats another thing, and it goes all the way in a circle. And this could have any amount of elements. It could have any amount of elements. You could have like just the 3 in typical rock, paper, scissors, water, grass, fire fashion, or you could have like 5 things, such as the very famous rock, paper, scissors lizard Spock, in which let me see if I remember the rules for that, because it's like, now that there are 5 things, you have to account for other mixes, or other, other choices when pairing them when trying to figure out what beats what. So that case, it wouldn't just go in a circle. It would sort of end up creating, because you have rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. You would have to go kind of like that. It's a pentagram. It becomes a pentagram. So if you had 5 elements, or rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, it would go scissors cuts paper, paper covers rock, rock smashes lizard, lizard poisons Spock, Spock smashes scissors, scissors decapitates lizard, lizard eats paper, paper disproves Spock, Spock throws rock, and then rock smashes scissors. I believe that's all the combinations. So you have different things beating different things. It's not just a pure circle, which creates for a lot more choice in gameplay. Because if somebody, let's just call these numbers 1 to 5. Just to make this easier. Because if it were just a circle, it would be 5 beats 4, 4 beats 3, 3 beats 2, 2 beats 1, and then let's just say 1 beats 5. But in order to create more complex choices, like if you played a 4 and the other person played a 2, in this specific type of system, the 4 wouldn't be able to do anything to the 2 and vice versa. So you can't play those two against each other. That doesn't do anything. But in this rock, paper, scissors like system, let's say the 4 could beat the 1, the 1 could beat the 3, the 3 could beat the 5, 5 could beat the 2, and then 2 could beat the 4. Then there's suddenly a lot more avenues, since the 3 has a relationship with the 2, it has a relationship with the 4, it has a relationship with the 5, and it has a relationship with the 1. So no matter what you're playing, all of those things factor against one another. So I think that it makes sense for me to go this elemental route. I think that's what I want to try to focus on. It's possible that a numerical system might be better, but I guess we'll see. I guess it depends on what people suggest. If there's anybody here watching. Ooh, nobody's here. I appear not to have any viewers. So, matching. The matching mechanic. I'm thinking just have a bunch of colors. You know, colors are incredibly easy to make a sort of just a general overall coding system for. So if you have 5 colors, you can sort things into 5 colors. It's pretty easy. Like, you know, Magic the Gathering has green, red, black, green, red, black, white, blue. That's it. Green, red, black, white, blue. And they're all sorted into various classes and sort of themes and stuff. Like, blue likes to think and be patient and counter things. Black likes to make sacrifices for great power and has card destruction built into it. And then red is very attacking and aggressive and dangerous, but also small. White builds armies of small minions to go forth and conquer. You know, it's very easy to just have themes matching a color, because colors because I think all colors typically are matched with emotions. They're typically matched with emotions, and that's why some things are colored the way they are. For example, health packs might be colored either green, because green is good. Green is good. Green is healthy. Green is nice. Or they might be red, which represents blood. Alternatively, if a barrel is red, that means it explodes. I think a lot of the time red is just used for evil, angry, enemies, aggression, stop sign, stop. Green and blue are used for friendliness, comrades, calmness, niceness, you know, those sorts of things. So I think the matching system would sort of just be a couple colors, and those would represent maybe classes or themes of some sort. I'm trying to think of what kind of things could those be. So I'm just gonna pick the colors from the color wheel. So what are our colors going to be? I like the idea of like 5 or 6 different things. So let's say number 1 is blue. Number 2 is red. We got green. And then let's go yellow and purple. That makes sense. I like that. I think those I think that is a very good basis for the colors that we might use, and they might translate into sort of classes or factions or genres. In that case, I think I want to try out the numerical system at first. I think that makes sense. Instead of having two different types of colors, two different systems that are based around being identified by colors, such as elements. Elements are typically associated with specific colors, like blue is water, green is grass, red is fire, you know. So I think that having these 5 colors is a very good base to start off with. Very good base to start off with. Okay. So, what is my next step here? I think I have the very base idea in which I want these specific colors and then numbers associated with the cards. Okay? So let's just make a new layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to whoops. Nope. There we go. Okay, fixed it. Just gonna paste these to here. Just put that up there. And then also, we're gonna have our numbers, which is just gonna be 1, 2, 10. And what I'm thinking is that 1 will beat 10. We're gonna do that type of system. We're gonna go the bigger number all beats the smaller numbers, except for the smallest number, which always beats the biggest number. And I think we'll go for these 5 colors. What sorts of things can we sort these colors into? Actually, so our 2 primary mechanics are match and trump. Very easy, very basic to explain. If I play a card with a blue 1, you either have to play actually, let's say it's a blue 7. Blue 7. You have to either play a card with a bigger number, that is a red 10, or a card with a matching color, which would be a blue 4. Both of those things are valid plays. So I think that's the core gameplay loop of this. You go in a circle, and you either match the color, or you beat the number. Fantastic. We have the game. We have the game. But of course, no game is finished with just those basic rules. For example, in Uno, you also have additional types of cards to mix up the gameplay, and you have specific rules that tell you what to do when you can play or can't play a card. For instance, you have to say Uno when you have 1 card left. If you don't, you have to draw additional cards. If you don't have a card you can play, you have to draw additional cards. If somebody plays a draw card, you have to draw additional cards. So there are cards that skip people's turns. There are cards that reverse the order of gameplay. There's a whole bunch of other mechanics that keep the game just purely from being play the matching card, play the matching card, play the matching card, and that's it. Like, twists can happen. People can be evil. People, oh my god. Games like Uno, people can be so evil. It's like, oh, I play a draw 5 card. How's that? Ooh, guess what? I changed the color to a color I know you don't have. And if you're playing with variant rules, you can have like 3 people playing draw 2 cards so that you have to draw 6 cards. And then in Big 2, it's not just playing a card that can beat the previous player's card. It is also based on poker hands. So you can play a double or a triple. Or you could play a run of like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know? Or you could play a royal flush of jack to ace in the same suit. So there are those additional rules that change up the flow of the game a bit. Yeah, so this is our basic gameplay, but there should be additional rules. So, what kinds of things would we have? What I was thinking is that the cards could have actual effects similar to what you find. I just realized I have a useless layer. Similar to what you find in TCGs such as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, Hearthstone, Pokemon, Duel Masters, etc. Cards that have basically rules text on them that tell you what to do and abilities that they have. So like, when this card is played, you may draw up to 3 cards. When this card is played, deal 5 damage to enemy player. You know, those sorts of things. So what I think would be interesting is, since this is a game themed around VTubers, also, I forgot to mention this time, previously I'd reached out to see if there were any VTubers that were interested in me basically using them as part of the game, but I ended up getting like 1 response. So as a template, I'm just going to use the HoloLive members just as a template. I think it'll be very useful to have a theme that I know I can work with to help inform the mechanics, because I want to make it a very flavorful game. So I'm using HoloLive as a base template. So since this is a game based around VTubers, what I want is for cards to mostly be based on characters, that being the VTubers themselves. So the card might have an ability that is themed around that person. Additionally, I was also thinking that there could be cards based around their personality or actions or style of streaming or backstory, etc., etc. Because it can sometimes be kind of hard to fit everything about a person onto one sheet of paper. I haven't been writing anything down. Actually, I shouldn't, because this is going to be more of my figuring out the actual rules page. Let me see. So I should actually start writing things down, like... higher numbers beat lower numbers. And 1 beats 10. What else in regards to numbers? I think it would be interesting to try out whoop. Duplicates can be played. So if you have 2 3s, you can play those. Additionally, whoop, duplicates must beat duplicates. Whoop. So if you play 2 3s, the next person has to play 2 4s, etc., etc., etc. Do I want runs? Yeah, I think it would be fun to have runs. Yeah. Okay. And same thing for runs. Runs must be used to beat runs. What other things can we play around with that I think makes sense? So higher numbers beat smaller numbers. 1 beats 10. Duplicates can be played. Duplicates must be used to beat duplicates. Runs can be played. Runs must be used to beat runs. Okay, I think that's actually it. I think what I want to do is keep the very base mechanics of the game, which is this matching and trumping system, very, very, very simple, because I'm adding the rules text. And rules text can become very complicated and confusing very fast. So what I think, if the basics of the game are very simple, it's vague enough, or sorry, it's simple enough that people can understand how to play the game and then gain greater understanding of how to play the game with the additional rules text on the cards. And also, it is vague and open enough that you can pretty much make the rules text into anything. Because if you're very, very, very specific and you make the rules very complex, once you introduce additional rules on the cards, it gets more messy and you have to adhere to the rules that you've already laid out. But if you have very few rules, then your cards can be anything. They can do anything. So I think that's going to be all the rules for the trump system here. For matching, what am I thinking? In order to play a card, you can either trumpet or match the previous card. Additionally, what am I thinking? So you can play, let's say I said you could play multiple cards of the same color no matter what the cards were. Would that mean anything? It means you can just drop all the same cards at once, which might be bad. Maybe it's just, hey, we have a matching system. Because if you had a hand of like 20 cards and they were all different things, but they were all blue and you just blew that all at once, I don't know how fun that would be or how much sense that would make. I might think of additional rules for matching later. I think this is the very basic gameplay I have. Whoops. Let's do herp, herp, herp. This, there we go. We'll make a new page or new layer. Okay, so these are my colors. What do I want? There we go. Okay, that should be better. I broke something a second ago. Okay. So I feel like these colors need to represent something. So I want the game to be flavorful. That is one of my main rules. That's one of my cool rules. If I want the game to be tasty, I feel like I want the colors to represent something. So what could these be? Let me brainstorm a few things. So they could be factions. I don't know how well that works because this is a game based on previously existing people with their own personal lore and worlds and everything. So I'm not sure how well factions would go. It would work in terms of if I'm using HoloLive, they all have generations. But I'm planning on expanding out from that and maybe not using that. So I don't know how well that would work. They could be... what would this be? It would be... So they could be themes, like concepts, like I am a time traveler. So a theme could be time. It could be things like sci-fi or fantasy or monster or something like that. Those kinds of things, which is a little bit more open. It could be types. For instance, I'm a ghost. There could be like, you know, cat girls or humans or office workers or fairies, just different types of creatures. What else could there really be? Factions, themes, types. I feel like that's it. I feel like that's basically it. I feel like I want to come up with some sort of themes. I think I want some sort of themes. I want to go the theme route. So what are some all-encompassing themes I could go with? Because I feel like factions is too restrictive. Or at least I feel like I wouldn't be able to do factions with people that have pre-existing lore. I feel like I want everybody to work separately despite being sort of interconnected in this game. Like, people would still have their own separate personal lore. So factions I don't think works. I don't think I can make up new worlds or groups for these people to fit into, but I can group them together with certain types of themes. What I could do is maybe match these with how the colors feel. So maybe I'll just list down a bunch of words. Cool. Calm. Cool. Calm. Water. What else is blue? Ice. How does blue feel to me? Future, maybe? Thought. Mysterious? I guess? Red is angry, passion, fire, aggression, strength, pain. What else is red? What does red feel like? It's very angry. It's very passionate. It's very bold, I guess. Green feels healing. Nice. Nature. Good. Growth. Plant. What else does green feel like? Yeah, sure. Yellow, what does yellow feel like? I feel like it feels like light. It could also be good. Warmth. Happiness. Ugh. sharing, I guess. I feel like that makes sense. What does purple feel like? Purple feels evil. Dark. Shadow. Poison. How else does purple feel? Weird. Yeah, that makes sense. So what kind of themes can we sort of conceive from these 5 colors and what we brainstormed in terms of how they make us feel? So maybe purple is sort of a darkness and shadow and evil. Maybe we just call purple the evil theme. Maybe purple is just straight up evil. And that's just the name of the theme. Oh my god. I love the idea of things just being evil. I feel like not that many people have written things to be purely actual honest evil. I think it's hilarious to just say, yeah, I'm evil. So yeah, maybe we can just call purple evil. I think it depends on how we end up sorting people into these groups. But maybe it's like Slytherin. Slytherin, they don't like calling Slytherin the evil house, but Slytherin's totally the evil house. I feel like we need a good house. Maybe yellow can just be good. Maybe it's just light. Maybe. Okay, here's another thought. I'm actually gonna backtrack on this. Even though I said I love when people are like, yeah, it's just straight up evil. What if purple just means more like darkness? And anyone can be evil. Anyone can be evil. Like, people that represent light could be evil, right? Ugh. Like, a character that's an angel could be evil, and they're more light representing. And you have, like, edgy, dark anti-heroes that look evil but are golden-hearted on the inside. We got our cool, heart of gold badass. What can green be? Green can maybe just be... I feel like if I said it was care, that might overlap with light and darkness. Maybe we just call this nature. And this doesn't just necessarily mean plants and the forest. It can mean things like animals or wilderness or just the wild. Yeah, that kind of thing. Or things that are natural. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have darkness, we have light. So I want to try and keep these vague, but also not super overlapping. Not super overlapping. They could have some overlap, but I don't want them to necessarily mean the same thing. Because I'm trying to group... several people underneath these 5 banners. I'm trying to group several people underneath these 5 banners. It's gonna be hard. I don't know how to... Since I already have light and darkness, nature... These aren't necessarily elements. they are forces or concepts of some sort. So I don't want to just make this like fire and water. I don't want to make, because nature doesn't mean plant. It's more of the overall concept of nature and naturalness. Any suggestions? Do we have any suggestions from chat? Maybe if I just scroll through this list of hololiveries, I'll get an idea for a theme. Man, I think this is the hardest part. I think just getting stuck on trying to think of one thing is the hardest part, because I feel like it just kind of gets stuck in your mind. It gets stuck in your mind and you have a hard time dismantling it and trying to put the rest of your idea together without that one thing. So I feel like I want to do this before. I want to come up with a theme for these two before I actually move on. Ooh, it looks like I'm going to quickly have to refill my water, and I will be right back in just a moment. Just a moment. I'm gonna return with more water and more ideas, hopefully. Okay, so here is my idea that I came up with. These blue and red, respectively, are going to be, or red and blue, respectively, because I want to say this in this order: passion and logic. Sure, those are two things that feel sort of opposite. So since this is going to be more of the class-based matching mechanic, I don't need to make I realized I don't need to make these perfectly separate things that need to, you know, beat each other. Like if it was an elemental system, it would need to like go like, I don't know, fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats whatever. These can sort of be a little bit more abstract and just kind of have a general feel to them, rather than being something incredibly specific. So I'm just gonna say logic, passion, nature, light, and darkness. You know, the exactly five elements that make up the universe. Everybody knows these are very, very, these are the forces of nature. But I think that's a good idea for just having an overall theme to the 5 colors, and that way we can start just sort of organizing people into these categories. And I think these are vague yet specific enough that it should be pretty easy to get anyone into a specific type of category without there being much problem of figuring out where people might go or arguing on how people might match something better. Okay, so we have our color mechanic, we have our number mechanic, we have our general idea of how we want the gameplay loop to work. We want a game in which you take turns playing cards. You either have to match the color of the previous person's card or play a number higher than the previous person's card, and 1 beats 10. That's it. That is the main core, very basic gameplay loop. Now I'm trying to think. So usually in these types of games, what you want to do is empty your hand. In both Uno and Big Two, you want to empty your hand, but they go about it very differently. Because in Uno, you all draw from one communal deck, and then the game has ways of forcing you to draw more cards. Whereas in Big Two, you deal out one deck to everybody, and then you play you have your whole hand to play with. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how this could be either done differently or borrow from either of those things. What if we just say for now, I need a new layer. What if we just say it's like Uno for now? We'll start with a very base idea of what we want this to be. So let's say there is one deck. There is one deck. A deck is comprised of, we have 5 colors. We'll say 10 cards in each color. No, it's 10 numbers. We'll say there are 4 copies of each number. Okay, 5 colors. 1, 2, 10. And there are 4 copies of each card. How many is that? Wait, okay. So it's 4 times 10, which is 40 times 5, 4, 8, 12, like 200. Wait, are there 200 cards? Wait, no. Yeah, there are. Because then also 5 times 10 is 50 times 4 is 200. That would be 200 cards. That seems insane. Actually, no. Okay. Wait, is that insane? Okay. So in a regular deck of playing card, we have 50 cards. This is 4 times that size. In a regular Uno deck, there are 108 cards. Okay, so 200's not that crazy. 200's not that unrealistic. Though this would, presumably, there could be additional cards. I'm not sure how to think about that. So what if... So we have 5 colors, 10 cards in each color. Maybe we just do 2 copies? Does that make sense? Two copies of each card. That leaves us with 100 cards in a deck. And there could be more or less. There could be more or less. It depends on how we'd like to modify the game. But I think this is the very base gameplay. Or this is the very base idea that we have, because we haven't actually gone in depth in thinking of the additional mechanics we want to do. I'm just writing down the very basic rules that we have so far. Two copies of each card. I think what we want to do is distribute the cards evenly. So let's say this is amongst 4 players. 100 divided by 4, you have 25 cards each. Is that how we want to play this? So here's another thought I had. What if it was okay. Well, let's just keep that how it is for now. Actually, I think I'm fine with starting with a 200 card base because I think I have an idea. So it's not actually one deck. It's not actually one deck. So we just have a set of cards. This isn't a deck of cards. It is a set of cards. And what we will do, so this is 200 cards. What we will do with these 200 cards is split these into even decks. Let's assume 4 players. We'll start with a base of 4 players. And we will split the deck evenly between 4 players, which should leave us with 50 cards per player. So each player gets a 50 card deck. And this is randomly split. Okay, so each player has a 50 card deck, from which we'll say they draw 10 cards. You have a 10 card hand. Okay, and then the gameplay begins. The gameplay begins. We're finally reaching the beginning of the game. Oh my gosh, it's taken... Oh man, it's already been an hour and a half. Ooh, I think I'm getting close to the end of my stream time. So I think I'll write down the rest of the very basic rules of this. Each player takes turns playing 1 card. The card must either semicolon. Oh my god. You know what I love? Using semicolons. It makes you feel good. Just simply the use of semicolons makes you feel good, because nobody knows how to use semicolons, so they just assume you're right. What you have to do is hope there isn't an actual academic person in the room, so that you can use semicolons willy-nilly without being called out. So it just makes you it just makes you look smart, even though you have no idea what it means. The card must either match the color, or beat the number. And just as a reminder, 1... Whoops. Whoa, what happened there? Beats 10. And I think that is the very basic gameplay. So what I'm thinking, since this is more similar to Uno, and you each have your own deck, what I'm thinking is, if a card cannot be played, draw from your deck. And then the player with an Empty hand wins. Very, very basic. Very easy to understand. Obviously, there are going to be more mechanics and different vectors by which you can strategize and play the game. But I think that this is a very good, very basic core set of mechanics with a fun gameplay loop that is easy to understand and easy to pick up, which follows my very core rules that I set for myself. So here is what I'm thinking. Oh, thank God you can't see that. I'm gonna save this. VTuber card game planning doc. Nice. And I'm going to end the stream for now. And then I will pick up some other time after, you know, thinking about it, letting it stew, getting new interesting ideas. Now that we've come down with a very core set of mechanics, and then in the future, I'll have an easier time coming up with additional gameplay ideas. But for now, I'm going to end the stream. And yeah, I think the next time we do this, I think it'll be a lot more fun. I think now that we have the very base ideas down, I think we can come up with a lot cooler, more interesting things. I'm probably gonna sort a bunch of VTubers into my 5 categories. I think that'll be a fun stream to do. And then we can come up with ideas for cards with abilities, additional gameplay rules and all that. But for now, I leave you with the very base idea of the game. And on Friday, what am I doing on Friday? Oh yeah, I'm playing Death Stranding. Yeah, love Death Stranding. Can't wait to go several hours for Death Stranding. And then I will come back next week. What am I actually planning for next week? Because this week was pretty chill. I didn't really have anything planned other than Pokemon and Death Stranding. And then also I had to move this stream to today because we couldn't do it last week. Yeah, I have some fun. Oh, I have some fun stuff planned for next week. I want to start a Nuzlocke. I'm going to start a Pokemon Nuzlocke next week. You'll see. It's going to be fun. I'm also going to do an art stream. I'm going to do actual drawing. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this little sort of just an experiment. I just wanted to try something different because I don't think many people have tried to do something like this. I just wanted to throw it out there, see if it stuck. Maybe we'll do it again. We'll do another one of these. And we'll see how much more fun that is. But for now, goodbye. Oyasu Moriarty.